Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining this afternoon during lunch for our first Beef Lunch and Learn series presented by Prairie View A&M University Ag and Natural Resource Unit under the direction of our livestock specialist, Miss Ashley Peller and James. I'm going to go ahead and get started with today's program. Just a quick acknowledgments. Thank you to Ashley for helping us put this thing together. Thank you to our administration, Dr. Karen Williams, and our Dean, Gerard D'Souza. So thank you for all your support. So basically, we're going to have a presentation on how to start a cattle ranch business operation on behalf of myself, Joseph Romeo Ozuna, and my coworker, Garrett Rhyne. So what are some of the costs involved in opening a cattle ranch business? Basically, you got to consider land, the needs regarding grazing, pasture, necessary vegetation, proper climate and topography. What's the land preparation, the homestead fencing. Sometimes the do-it-yourself fencing projects can save you a significant amount of money. It is crucial, and it needs to be done correctly. So if you follow these tips to try to keep your cattle safe and secure, you should not have any problems. Make sure that you have some water facilities available for them to drink water. Tools and equipment. You kind of want to look at things that you can purchase. Maybe you want to purchase new equipment, or sometimes depending on financial resources, you can purchase used equipment to perform all the necessary maintenance and repairs that you would need for upfront and ongoing expenses. Try to look to put something up like some shelter. This is very important if you plan to raise cattle. Think about the first set of cattle that you're going to be looking at in starting your operation. Depending on what you do, if you need to have some type of payroll, you'll need to hire a set of workers for several months before you start your operation. Insurance and marketing and investing. So some of the steps that we want to look at is choose the right cattle breed, care for your land and forage, protect and prioritize animal health, maintain and manage your facilities, embrace the lifestyle of raising beef cattle, enhance your marketing skills, also improve your business operation management, develop a financial plan, add a contingency plan, and become a lifelong learner. Those are some of the steps that we're going to go over today. So a cattle ranch, which can be managed on anything from a few acres to several hundred acres, is a farm that breeds, or a ranch that breeds and raises cattle. The livestock can be bred for a multitude of purposes, including consumption, trade, cattle shows and fairs, market, and the production of milk products or anything like that. To start a basic cattle ranch, be sure to include the following when it includes your budget. So basically, we want to make sure that we have ranchers that realize the success on the farm. With only a few acres, this business venture does require significant starting capital. So when you choose the right cattle breed, you want to choose beef cattle that goes beyond selecting the ones that sell for the most. Evaluate your breed against your climate. Choose cattle based on their breed and the weather conditions that are capable of their withstanding. Different types of cows will do better in different climates. Even operations residing in the same area can experience differences in microclimates where pockets of rain or dust storms may be more frequent than what your neighbors get. Consider current and future market trends to maximize your profit in raising beef cattle. One of the best ways to select your breeds is to explore the local market trends. Other ranchers and local industry professionals can give specific insight into the needs of your market. Understanding the market is essential in ranching for profit. Evaluate and optimize your breeding system. Select the best bulls for the cows that will produce the highest quality for your market. So The next step that we'll go into is care for your land and forage. Once you have evaluated your cattle breed, assess your land and forage needs for the livestock you're raising. Consider forage production amounts, soil quality, and feed management systems. This is where your breed evaluation may influence other decisions. The weather and the gestation will affect forage needs. Budget for forage purchases if needed, and understand how these costs influence your profit margins. The amount of forage for your land producers should be sufficient to sustain your livestock. Different types of cows consume more forage. Depending on the breeds that you select, you can have cattle that eat more forage than the other, depending on the moderate frame sizes that you're looking at. Land management systems will use to enhance the land management system you will use will enhance your forage production. Pasture grazing techniques can improve forage quality and production. That includes maybe USDA getting a USDA equip loan or equip practice where you do a bulldozing or you do root plow and seeding to create more forage. Use soil tests to help determine if there are amendments that would improve forage production and reduce expenses. Those soil tests can be done if you reach out to your extension agents. They can take soil samples and send them to get tested on any type of nutrients or pH balances or whatever chemical chemicals you want to find or things that you can use to improve your soils. Integrate all aspects of your land and forage management into feed management systems for optimal nutrition levels in cattle. This is very, very important. So let me just go back here real quick. When it talks about integrate all aspects of your land and forage management, make sure that when you're getting into the business and you're starting your beef production, make sure that your land is sustainable and has enough forage and resources so that you can optimize its optimal nutrients for your cattle. Because like I mentioned before, you want to ensure that you have forage for your cattle to eat because some cows eat more than others. So to protect and prioritize animal health, good nutrition is the foundation for healthy and productive cattle. However, other health factors may be addressed. Injuries, illness, and poor health can be costly in a cattle business. Prevention is the best solution. Include your veterinarian in planning and strategy sessions. Keep cattle vaccinations up to date and immediately treat injuries and diseases. Early treatment of illnesses and diseases can reduce overall costs. So having a vaccination protocol is a good practice to have. Your veterinarian can recommend vaccines needed based on disease risk and cattle life stages. So when we talk about facilities, you want to maintain and manage your facilities to the best of your abilities. Maintaining and managing your facilities improve your success for raising beef cattle. Good cattle management facilities are an investment in the success of your operation because they can improve efficiency, support safe cattle handling practices, and keep cattle stress low, which improves health. Placing cattle handling systems near access to water and electricity is one way to increase your efficiency. Investing in the upkeep and improvement of your facilities can quickly pay off in reduced labor costs, time saved, and better cattle gains due to reduced stress. So your cattle handling system should protect the animal and handlers for good keepsake. Fences, chutes, holding pens, and barns should be evaluated regularly with regular maintenance and cleaning plans established. So when you embrace into the lifestyle of raising beef cattle is a lifestyle, whether you're doing it as a full-time or on top of your 9-to-5 job. It is challenging and is an incredibly rewarding profession that can be financially lucrative when you have a good strategy in place. The commitment to raising beef cattle far exceeds a traditional full-time job. So do the rewards and the satisfaction level. This includes proactivity managing and maintaining your facilities, acclimating cattle to your handling system, and raising different breeds to diversify your operation. There are many ways you can decrease stress and truly embrace the lifestyle. So once you embrace the lifestyle and you do it for whether it be your full-time or regular 9 to 5 job, you kind of want to enhance your marketing skills. What are you looking for? What market are you going to hit? You got to start thinking about those different strategies. So some tips also could be the strategic marketing plans create thriving cattle production businesses. Consider adjusting your existing market plan or creating one if you haven't done one yet. So you can increase your network, finding new ways to protect your business, reputation, and using your story in marketing. Often, it will also include your pricing and information about your sales. If you're not familiar with putting a marketing plan together, your marketing plan should consist of deliberate activities and strategies used to promote your product. Networking allows you to make new connections that can lead to marketing advantages. So if you find a network, if you find the trend and you find what you're looking for in the market, you're able to kind of network with other producers, you kind of network with other auction barns to see what the market is looking for, what you can do to enhance your production and sales of your animals. Another opportunity that is not considered often enough is to leverage your story in your marketing. It differentiates you from competitors and helps develop your personal brand and reputation. So improve business operations and management. Business operations and management skills are essential for any cattle producer. Farming is a complex system that involves many components that are interconnected. Therefore, improving efficiency and maximizing your resources that helps you produce the best possible product. So with that being said, complete evaluations and analysis regularly so that you can ensure that you are on the right path with your operation. Through the ongoing analysis and evaluations, you will see the strengths and weaknesses of your ranch emerge and will see opportunities to areas for improvement. So if you use these evaluations as a baseline to make informed decisions, that can yield greater profits. So here we talk about developing a financial plan. In any business, a strong financial plan is critical to ensure profitability. Financial plans for raising beef cattle should include budget, tax records, insurance, and a business reinvestment strategy. A financial plan can also cover many aspects of your operation, including day-to-day business expenses and revenues, planning for financial challenges, and reinvesting back into the business. Budgets are living documents and need to be evaluated and adjusted regularly. Document the expenses and revenues and maintain these records for tax purposes, because at the end of the year, you can always use this for your taxes. Include your utilities. Include the feed facilities, labor, equipment, operating, marketing, any other type of associated costs that you've used throughout the year. You can go ahead and use these for documented tax purposes. Insurance protects your cattle operation from the unexpected situation that may arise in your business. Sometimes farmers and ranchers, or particularly now producers, get insurance just in case a disaster happens or whatever arises. They have some type of insurance to protect themselves and their operation and their cattle. So the business profits can be reinvested to grow and expand your cattle operation. This includes equipment and facility upgrades or updates, increasing your herd size or diversifying the operation and or investing in more land. So adding a contingency plan to the financial plan is a great practice as well. Contingency planning is like financial planning. It is a good business practice. Develop a plan for operation management if an unforeseen incident occurs. This plan should consider who will take over if you are unable to manage the operation, financial resources for the unseen circumstances, and strategies for addressing hardships. Perhaps you have a spouse or children or other family members who can assist in keeping the operation going. So many challenges cause financial stress. Plan to avoid these scenarios and maintain a cash reserve for emergency expenses. Contingency plans should contingency plans should also consider market fluctuations and include plans to address animal disease and injury. If you all have not been keeping up with the current market right now, the market is absolutely outstanding. The latest market report had calves that were 200 to 300 pounds selling for $2.62 a pound for choice and $2.22 a pound for good. And that right now that is very good for producers. But at the same time, we don't know how long this trend is going to last. The last time I saw this trend was 10 years ago. So when it mentions, that you want to consider the market fluctuations, this is what it's talking about. So you always want to make sure that you have some type of cash reserve for expenses, for emergencies. So also at the same time, you also want to become a lifelong learner. The continuous learning is the key to sustained success in beef cattle. The cattle industry is constantly changing every single day, improving and looking for different ways to become more cost effective while still providing high quality products. Your ability to stay informed and continue learning and implementing best practices ensures a thriving business. So mentors and a network of cattle producers can help you keep informed and help troubleshoot challenges along the way. So with that being said, there's different things that you can maybe subscribe to or, continue to look for our programs, because we're always out there educating producers on better ways to improve their herds through health management, through vaccination protocols, and those type of educational programs. So, agricultural university programs are an excellent source of information to provide unbiased and research-based solutions, basically what we're doing today. So having a solid financial plan, solutions to potential challenges, different types of cows, and growth strategies will allow for sustained success. So once we've gone through those steps that we went through, there is 3 different main systems of the beef cattle production in the United States. We have our cow-calf pair operations, we have stocker operations, and we have feedlot production. So with those 3 main operations, that's kind of what makes up the beef industry that we have. A cow-calf pair operation or production is what mostly that producers have now, and that's basically when you're breeding cows with bulls, either naturally or through artificial insemination to produce a calf crop. And calves will eventually, at one point in time, once they're weaned, get sold to the market. So this involves your commercial and your purebred breeders in a cow-calf pair operation. So commercial producers raise steers and heifers that are sold at weaning, destined to become slaughter animals. Your purebred breeders raise calves destined to become part of a breeding herd or bulls from which semen can be collected for artificial insemination. So there is a difference between your commercial producers and your purebred producers. Remember, this program is for beginning farmers and ranchers, or beginning ranchers that want to start into beef production. So there is a difference between both producers. Like I mentioned, the commercial producers, remember, raises steers and heifers that are sold at weaning, and weaning can be between 550 pounds to 650 pounds. That's a good average weaning weight to go on to become slaughtered animals. The purebred breeders, you have your purebred breeders that raise calves to sell to different producers who want to have functional females, who want to have good mothers that are going to be raising calves to continue working that seed stock operation and buying better bulls and buying bulls that can help them have a better herd. Now we slowly move on to stocker operations. Stocker operations are operations that utilize forages and roughages to grow cattle from weaning until weight ready for entrance into a feedlot. So what I've seen here is that sometimes stocker operations will get calves that are 550 pounds to 650 pounds and put them out to pasture where they're available to utilize the roughages, the forages and the roughages to get to maybe 850 pounds, 750 pounds, that area, before they go into the feedlot. Feedlot production involves feeding cattle highly concentrated rations in large confinement facilities. When cattle are deemed market ready, they are sold to a meat processor for conversion into consumer products. There are commercial feeders and there are farmer feeder producers. So basically, as a cattle beef producer, you have your operation, your mama cows have their babies, they get to a weaning age, you sell them to the market, which is an auction barn. From the auction barn, they go over to a feedlot. And when they get into this feedlot, they start getting fed highly concentrated feed rations. And as the process goes along, you have your incoming cattle that are coming from the sale barn. They get fed a certain ration, and as they start gaining weight, they get moved on to different rations. I think what I've seen has been that they start off with, for example, a 35% corn ration as they're incoming into the feedlot, and as they start growing into the higher poundage, they pick up that feed ration to maybe 55% corn, start getting them a little bit fatter. And once they're going to go into the finishing process, then that ration changes to about 75% corn, and that gets them ready and finished for slaughter. Commercial feeders are generally quite large and owned by corporations. Some of these capacities of these commercial feeders are up to 40,000 to 100,000 head of cattle, depending on where you're located. I'm down here in South Texas, here in the Rio Grande Valley. We have 3 feedlots down here in this area. We have Rio Beef Yard, we have J&R Feeds, and we also have Starr Feed Yard. So the last time that I did numbers, the Rio Beef Yard has about 6,500 head of cattle that are being fed. Starr Feed Yards is probably, I don't want to, just don't quote me on this, but I think they're about 16,000 or 17,000 head of cattle, and J&R is probably at around 2,500. So if you put all those numbers together, here in the RGV, you're probably feeding about 26,000 or 20,000 head of cattle. Farmer feeder productions have capacities of less than 1,000 head and make up about 30% of the feedlot cattle in the United States. So these are a couple of pictures that I put together of a feedlot production and what a feedlot kind of looks like if y'all have not seen one yet. Now these are in different areas, so I don't know where they're actually at, but this is what you would see when you go to a feedlot. The cattle are in pens, they have bunks, they're fed the highly concentrated feed, and they eat and eat and eat until they go to slaughter. Some of the management practices, when you're starting to get involved in the beef cattle production operation, are practices that we need to think about every single time that we work our animals. We want to ensure that our cattle have identification. Some practices also include castration. Some practices include dehorning, implanting, and vaccination protocols. So there are many different practices that United States cattlemen use to improve their cattle's value. Identification of your cattle should provide individual, permanent identity and information about each animal. So your commercial producers normally ear tag their cattle. They fire brand them. Some you can use a freeze branding, electronic ear tags, or tattoo. What I've basically seen most of our producers here to identify their cattle, they ear tag and they brand, which is a common practice. And that ensures that if these animals are lost or they go into other pastures or they're stolen or whatever it may be, they're able to identify these animals if they get sold to the market or if they go into the neighbor's pasture. You can go and identify your animals. So this is a good practice on cattle identification. One of the other practices that is used sometimes is the castrating of your bull calves. Castration is obviously removing the testicles from the bulls. Why? Because steers are more docile in temperament and less restless. They fatten a lot quicker and can be mixed with females in the pasture or lots. Castration eliminates the possibility of your inferior bulls breeding your cattle. So if you're a cattle producer that has a good bull that you've paid money for breeding your cattle to have quality calves, you don't want these inferior calves breeding your bulls. So this is a good method. Obviously, not every single bull or calf or bull calf is going to be a herd bull. So in those type of situations, this could be a good practice. Here I put some pictures of some tools that are used. We have the top picture, which is a emasculator that's used to perform castration. And the bottom picture, what we have is a bander. Basically, you put a band around the testicles and you leave them there until the blood vessels dry up and the testicles fall, which means it's a little less stressful versus cutting them. But this is also a good practice. Dehorning, some dehorn, some don't, but dehorning is a process of removing the horns from the cattle. There's different methods. There's surgical dehorning. You can also burn them, or you can cut them off. However you all choose, or however the producer chooses to do it. And why do you want to do that sometimes? Is because dehorned cattle sell for higher prices because the packer knows it will require less carcass trimming. Dehorning reduces injury to people when working the cattle. So if you're in a pen and you're trying to do work, you're trying to deworm, you're trying to do some type of practice there, having the animals dehorned can be a lot safer. If you have cattle with horns, you could get stabbed, you could get hit, you can get some type of injury can occur. So, that's why the dehorning process is used in cattle. And dehorned cattle require less shed and feeding space. So if you have a cow that has horns, it's going to take up a little bit more bunk space versus them not having horns. Then you can fit more animals into the feeding area. Another practice that is involved would be implanting. Implanting cattle is the process of placing a pellet of steroid hormones into the ear of young calves to insinuate growth potential. And why? Well, because this increases weaning weights. These pictures here that I have here on the screen The bottom picture is the implant gun that is used to implant. On top, the little green circular picture are the Ralgro implants that is used to put into the implant gun. And then I have a diagram that shows you where to implant the growth implant into the animal's ear. Now, some may not like this method, and it's optional. Obviously, it's optional for producers, but it does add weight and profit to your calves. So at around 4 months of age, if they're castrating and you're doing that type of practice and you want to implant, that's a good way to increase the weaning weights to probably between 80 to 100 pounds of weight. So like this picture here of the Ralgro implants, that's about 24 doses right there. It's probably run you about $44 or $46 for those Ralgro implants. You can find these on Valley Vet if you're interested in doing that type of practice. So you're able to do that. And like I said, the diagram, it's very critical that you don't move or place it in a wrong area. You want to place it within 1/3 of the ear, a little bit further back than the cartilage ring. So that's the way to do that. Then we move to value-added calf vaccination program. So basically, the stress caused by weaning, transportation, and changes in environment lowers a calf resistance to diseases. Vaccination programs are designed to get calves ready to enter the market and production channels after they leave a ranch. So sometimes stress hurts the animals, depending on what you're doing. You don't want to be back and forth here and there, because that causes your animals to catch certain diseases, or they could get sick or anything like that. So you always want to ensure that you have a proper vaccination protocol for your animals. Me personally, on my cattle, at 2 months of age, 3 months of age, I normally vaccinate them. I'll give them a black leg shot. I'll give them some respiratory injections just to kind of help that animal have a higher immune system as it's getting older. So there's different things that you can do to avoid these type of issues. Some of the diseases that we see with our livestock is brucellosis, and that's caused by a bacteria, and there is no treatment. There is no treatment for brucellosis. This picture right here you can see that I'm moving my mouse over, is a picture of brucellosis. So if you start seeing that, you need to understand that there is no treatment for that, and you're going to run into some issues. The other disease is called shipping fever, hemorrhagic septicemia, which is caused by stress, virus, infection, or bacteria. And this one can be treated with antibiotics or a vaccine. The next disease that we kind of see sometimes, depending on what breed that you have, I've seen it more in Hereford cattle, but it's keratoconjunctivitis, which is pink eye, which is this picture down here. So if you start having issues with pink eye, know that it's caused by bacteria, can be treated with antibiotics. Talk to your vet, or you can go to a place where you can get antibiotics to treat pink eye. Just know that can be treated. Foot rot or sore foot is caused by bacteria and damp hooves, which is this picture down here. So if you have areas that are damp, and there's bacteria around, you also could get this type of disease, and it could cause an issue with your herd. Another one is tuberculosis. This is caused by a bacterium, and that also has no treatment, which is this picture over here. And the last one that we see sometimes, most times, or I don't know if you've seen them or not, is the bovine palamitosis, which are warts. And that's caused by a virus. It can be treated by toothpaste, wart pinching, twisting, close off to the base. So this picture down here, this Hereford, that's a picture of an animal that has warts. So just know that those things can be treated. You know, some can, some can. So you always want to make reference to, if you're buying or if you're looking into buying animals in bulk or from the sale barn, make sure that you pay close attention to these little things, because if not, you're going to end up spending money for nothing, or putting more money into something that you don't need to be doing. So basically, the importance of the beef industry is that each day 75 million people eat beef in the United States. One steer can provide 540 servings of beef, potentially impacting 540 consumers. And every dollar of cattle sales generates another $5 or $6 in economic activity. Cattle production provides the most jobs in agriculture, provides 1 million direct jobs and 2 million related positions. So the beef industry is a great industry to get into. Those that are starting, that want to get started, remember the tips that we talked about. Remember that it does take some capital to get this production of beef cattle going. Ensure that when you buy land, look at your forages, look at your fence lines, look for water, ensure the select of the breed of cattle that you want to go into. Look for animals that are tolerant in your area, depending if you're in South Texas, North Texas, East Texas, West Texas, wherever you're at. Look for the animals that are going to be best tolerant in your area. Look for the market. Go to the local auction barns. Talk to the auctioneers. Talk to the owners. Say, hey, you know, I'm thinking about getting into the beef industry and cattle production. What are you seeing? What's the trend? You know, what are the feedlots looking for? You know, and start doing a little bit of networking so that you kind of get an idea of what's happening, so that you can kind of follow that direction. Remember that you want to have a financial plan to get started also as well, to keep good records for tax purposes, you know, things like that. Ensure that you keep documentation of everything, because all that can be used for you. If you have a plan, you know, think about the contingency plan. Think of what happens if something happens to you. Most of us don't think of that. You know, we have our ranch, we have our animals, and we're working, and something happens to us. Well, what's going to happen? So you kind of have to keep those things in mind every now and then. So, you know, those are just kind of the things that we kind of have to look at, the steps that we go through. So the more that you follow these steps, the best success that you're going to have in your operation. Of those that are looking to purchase land, there's options that you can utilize. There's resources that you can use. You can go to different agencies, ag lenders. You have your Texas Farm Credit. You have your Capital Farm Credit. If you have the money to buy it, great. But if you don't, you can go to the FSA and maybe get a direct loan or something like that to buy your property. The USDA, NRCS is there to help you once you get your property. If you need any type of improvements, they're there to help you with equip programs or cost share programs. So there's a lot of incentives that are utilized when you start getting into this type of business. So that's pretty much done with my presentation. I'm going to open it up to any questions. If you all have any questions, please feel free to answer or ask. I'm sorry. And this last page here is my contact information. My name, like I said again, is Joseph Romeo Ozuna. I'm the Cooperative Extension Program Ag and Natural Resource Extension Agent for Starr County and Hidalgo County. My email is there. My office number is there. My coworker, Garrett Rhyne, he's also an Extension Agent in Ag and Natural Resources in Harris and Galveston County. Those that are on the call that are up in that area, if you have any questions, his email is there and his number to his office is there. So if you need to reach out to us for any type of information, feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email.